Hi everyone, welcome again today. We have Mr. Tunde Akomolafe in the house. So we just want to have a chat today for you to meet Mr. Tunde finally. What drove our decision to come to UK 15 years ago? What were our immediate achievements? These are some of the questions that people have been asking us. And what's prompting the decision to go back? So that's what this conversation will be all about. How was Nigeria 15 years ago when we left?
I think Nigeria has really changed a bit. 15 years ago was quite different. In our own case, this is a family. We are a family with a direction. We sat down and we said, okay, what do we want to do for the family? We normally have a plan. So since our plan aligned, mine and yours aligned from the beginning of the marriage, the inception, we all have the dream to travel the world, go around the world, live in different places. So that has been my dream. And since our dream aligned from the beginning, so we now that, yeah. Another thing that really that I would say make us make that decision was because of health as well.
Health reason.
Yeah.
I would say, I think for me growing up, as a young girl, I really, really wanted to study abroad. I did make several attempts, but unfortunately, my dad at the time could not afford to send me abroad. I used to wish that I could just gain admission, and come and study abroad. So when I missed the opportunity of, growing up, so I thought to myself, maybe in marriage, I could, get that opportunity. And I think meeting you, we had that conversation straight away because I asked you, do you want to live in Nigeria? And you said no. And I said to you that I would like to go abroad as well because I've been dreaming to study abroad. But I think, at that point, it was just talk, I would say. It was just talk because I wasn't really serious about it then. But when we started having children, when we had our first child, I think that was when it really dawned on me that, oh, now I'm having children. And I think that dream of wanting to go abroad and study and even, have better opportunity for the children that we're having. And some people said that is selfish. That somebody asked the question that, are you sure you really came abroad because of your children or you came for your own selfish reason? And what that person didn't understand was at that time, one of the most common reason that people were going abroad was because of their children, isn't it? Because everybody we ask then, they will say, oh, I want to give my children better opportunities and all that. And I consider that to say, oh, that's a good reason as well. And in my own opinion, Nigeria has always had its challenges because Nigeria then too was not good. It's just worse now, but then too, those were the complaints that oh, Nigeria is not good. There's no future for this country, blah, blah, blah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's even more than that. Before I met you, I came to UK to do a master's degree, right? So then I came back when I met you. So I said I had the opportunity to quickly go back and just advance my, education. But because I met you and then we were dating. So when the issue of migration came, the best migration process then was highly skilled.
Yeah.
Right. So I had the opportunity to join the first highly skilled, because they normally regulate all their immigration program every year.
Yeah, what is highly skilled? Just for the benefit of those who don't know what highly skilled is.
Yeah, highly skilled program at that point was a program designed to bring in skilled workers from everywhere in the country to UK. So they started with a lower amount of money. They have got eligibility criteria that you must meet. You must be a graduate. You must, if you have second degree, good for you. If you have a third degree, it's a point-based system. So the younger you are, the better. So your earning power too. If you are older, if you are getting close to 30, you must have been a manager or something close to like a supervisor or manager in your professional field. So yeah, that's what I just feel.
Okay, I remember also that abroad, the way abroad is now, like, I mean, people are presenting it like it's so difficult to travel. Now, it was particularly difficult that time because I remember that only a few people were getting these visas compared to the way people are getting COS and things today.
Yes, back then, because of the eligibility criteria, very difficult to meet. I remember in my own case, when I came to UK, with all my second degree as at that time, then my professional qualification, everything, I still have to meet around £50,000 to qualify
Hmm.
from my,
Which was
and
impossible to
fifty
me at the
thousand
time.
pounds at that time was something. Even now, even that amount of money, that was at a time when minimum wages in UK was £6 something to
That's
seven
right. I
pounds.
remember.
Yeah,
Imagine being in the UK and earning today, is it £11 something or
yeah,
£12 something?
between 12
But
to 14.
people still get around £13, £14 now. Imagine getting £6 something and for an hour
To seven
in
pounds.
those years. And I think naira to pounds 15 years ago was around 500 and something
I can't
to
really.
600 thereabout. So it was a lot. I remember, how difficult it was to for us to meet this criteria. So it was the same, we came with the same, it was the same, it's always been the same procedure.
I think it should be
You
around 300 and something.
really,
Yes.
15 years ago.
Yes, it's less than 50 years ago because government, was subsidizing the Nigerian money.
Mm,
So then people have to go and buy through bank. So
mm.
the USD was around maybe 200. Pounds should be less than 400
Yeah,
if you are buying. But if you are
yeah,
doing black market, it's
yeah.
different.
Because 5 years down the line, when I was going to finally get into education, it had come to about 500 then. So I remember particularly that, some of the immediate challenges we had was the renewal. So we had three stages. The first time when we applied, the second time when it was the 2 years, and then the 5 years one.
Yes.
And every time, how much did we need to meet?
When we applied, the requirement then was for us to for the applicant that are adult, you have to pay the home office 2,650
Per person.
per person. Then for applicants that are below the adult age, that's a child, has to pay 2,450. So for a family of four, two
That we were
children,
then. We were
two,
four then.
two children, two adults, you have to pay more than 10,000. Yeah, more than 10,000.
And that was,
10,000
guys,
pounds to the UK
that
government.
was like that was like almost impossible. When you're at a point where you felt low, there's no way to get that kind of money. And you are just crying to God, like physical tears. This is not even just cry. Because it was almost impossible to get who gets £10,000? Even today, as things are, who gets £10,000 just like that? Imagine being asked to pay 2,000 something for each person. It was so
Yeah.
difficult.
The threshold for 40%, that your tax threshold then as well. You pay 40% if you are earning. It's now like it's better now. This is the easiest immigration ever. I mean, in the last 20 years, this is the easiest immigration. Before, you get to be paying 40% at a lower, I mean, I've forgotten the amount now, but it's definitely because the minimum wages was lower. So for you to be among the threshold for higher tax, definitely that threshold too will be
Mm,
lower. So you pay 40% at like maybe less than 30 or about 30,000 pounds. If you are
mm,
earning of less than that, you'll be paying
mm,
40%. So it's easy. It's difficult. Most of your money will go on tax,
mm,
and they still expect you to make sure all your documents are complete.
mm,
You are then, because I remember that whenever we want to renew, you
mm.
take a year of all your documents to
To
them.
do that. Yeah. So some of the immediate challenges that we went through, you know, I would say people still go through those today. So I don't think that has changed much. When we arrived in London, we didn't really have much opportunities. Let me put it that way. We came with everything that we had. It wasn't like we already had the property in Nigeria. I mean, we had the land, but no house, nothing. And there's nothing to sell, basically. No people are selling things. It's when you have something to sell that you sell. So we came with everything that we had. And then we came to London. And me, I'd never traveled out of, the only place I'd been at that time was Ghana. I'd never been to any, Western distance. So when I came to UK, all I knew was London. I didn't know any other area. I didn't know any other place. And I remember being very stressed then of how expensive the houses were. Obviously, we came father, mother, and two children, and we couldn't even afford to get a flat. Well, I mean, the cost was just too ridiculous that we couldn't. So we're looking for, okay, a house where we could share with other people. And that's just the reality of it. People still do that today in London, unfortunately. So we managed to get one, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was particularly challenging. At first, we arrived at a family member's house, and the experience that we saw there, that one is the story for another day. The family that you think you know, when you come abroad, they are different people entirely. You know, it was a struggle to get children to school in the morning. It was a struggle to even find an accommodation who was willing to take people with children, you know.
Yes.
And it wasn't like our children were babies or anything like that. And the 1 year old one was so calm. It was such a good boy. He didn't used to cry. It's the year that you have children like this, they don't want to take you. So that was one of the immediate challenges that we had. And I remember you had to leave us at a point to come back to Nigeria to tidy up a few things
Yes. At the point
at work.
when, yeah, at the point when we moved from Nigeria, my employer, they didn't want me to leave, so they told me that they will give me some month to go and think about it, and so that they can keep. I work in the financial industry in Nigeria anyway, so they said, okay, you know what, they're going to give me like 6 months to go and think about it and come back to work. But what I did then was I took like my leave, like normal annual leave, to bring my family back. So then I had to go back and convince my employer that, look, I've made up my mind. I'm leaving. They should just
Yeah.
let go. So, and that was what happened.
I have a question there. Hmm? Because when I came, I didn't know any other place. The money we had then would have made us very comfortable in another part of the UK. And you that you had been here previously, you had studied here, you knew that there were other areas that were cheaper, that the money that we paid for one room in a shared apartment or in a shared house in London could have rented us a full 2 bedroom flat in another part of the UK. But considering what I went through and the challenges I went through, the difficulties of having to manage children within a house of multiple occupancy, and some of the challenges which we'll be leaving for another video, one of some of the challenges that we went through, which were really, really nasty, very nasty, that some people would not even want to go through such things. They would rather just say, I'll stay in Nigeria. I bet if I had a property in Nigeria that I could come back to, I would have run straight back, you know, and I will be advising anybody who has children, if it's possible for them to leave children with their parents and come and do the initial bit first. I think that initial bit can be so challenging that people don't understand. Even when you come, we've never been, by the way, we've never been in this country without papers. So even you have your paper, but then you don't have cost to public funds.
If I have to like do this again with what happened then, it's still gonna be the same, because London is the only place at that point, at that 2010, where you can get a job where they can pay you such like 35 to 50. Most of the people that are coming in with highly skilled. If you go to places like Manchester or all these places, you can hardly get a job, especially when you're a colored person, that will be willing to pay you that amount of money if you are just coming from Africa. They want that skill. Most of the skill, like the skill set that I had from Nigeria there, the only place where I know that because of the diversity that they would want to or willing to give me that kind of payment is in London. That's why I have to stay back in London.
And the jobs that were kind of common for foreigners are all those, you know, all those support worker, care worker, and all those kind of jobs. So
you can't even make that in
and you can't make, you definitely cannot make that kind of money, you know, with that kind of job. But what I would have done differently is, so I would have just preferred to have known that there were other places that are cheaper. You know, I could take the kids and live in a different place and be comfortable. And you will have that joy knowing that we are somewhere else. You get what I mean? And we are comfortable where we are. It's very difficult when you have children and you have to live among other people. If it's your family, like, you know, the way the Indians live, then we understand. Cousin is here, sister is there. And if you see the rooms, like, you know, you just come out of your room, the person is next door, it's a house. So I wouldn't want to relive that bit again. If there's any challenge or any part of our relocation to UK, the part that I don't even want to remember, are the family members that we first moved in with when we came for the 1 month, and having to live in a house of multiple occupancy for a while before we then went to rent our own place where we had the whole place. So it takes a process, and I think the lesson with that bit is
that's just our story.
It takes that sacrifice. So if you are in that phase today, you know that it gets better. That's if you are with the right visa. That's why people are saying come with the right visa. If you are not having the right visa, you can be in that phase for 15, 20 years, stuck there, no progress, no forward, no backwards.
I think
So
okay. I think what one of the key or one of the important information for us was that we always evaluate, like every time,
yeah, that's true.
every month, every week. You see, we say, okay, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? So we look at, okay, how can we improve? So we always evaluate our position every day. Like when part of the reason why I would like I wanted it to stay for us to be together as a family unit then was that when I come back home, you know, I would see you. We'll talk about, okay, what happened today?
Yeah, that's true.
So then what is the next thing
That's
to
true.
do?
Yeah.
And as a family under one roof, even though the house or all of that all of that difficulty, I don't mind because we come back, we stay together, we talk together, we pray together. You see, I share with you, you share with me. So it's just like that alone. There's that emotional, that psychological. You cannot buy it. You can't put a cost to it. And that's why I said that, look, let's stay together in London. It may be very pricey, it may be difficult. Let's navigate this together as a family unit. And that's what I believed in. Other people, somebody has said, no, you should have gone to stay in Scotland, and now we'll be calling, oh, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
I don't,
Scotland.
or
There's so many Wales.
Wales are that, it's just for me.
Places that as long as abroad is
Abroad, it's just
UK
for me.
is UK, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, as long as I'm safe, my children are safe. And I remember the day that I was at work. I remember, guys, the day I discovered that there are other parts of UK that houses are cheaper. So I was just sat down, and one of my colleagues said, "Oh, B, look at this house. It's only a whole house. It's only £400 a month.
500.
400.
I know. I
think she went to Wolverhampton or so.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean the house? You mean the room is 400? She said, no, I mean the whole house. 3-bedroom house. I said, what? Then I said, okay, bring it. Let me say. I was like, oh my goodness, where is this? Wolverhampton. And I said, but I never knew. I thought everywhere was like London. I thought everywhere was like
1,500
a small, tiny room with 1,002, 1,000, As then 15 years ago, we were still getting 3-bedroom for like 1,000. To meet your salary then, I mean, my salary then was the entire 1,000. So there's no way I can look for a house that is 1,000. And then she now said, oh, no, it's the same all over the place, not just Wolverhampton. If you check Manchester, if you check Liverpool, if you check St. Helens, check everywhere, it's the same. Then I just went on my phone and I started checking. I was like, oh my God. And I remember that I couldn't wait to get home to come and tell you, why did you let us suffer like this?
Yeah.
And then the black on black violence in London was crazy.
They want to try that.
You go to even London churches like Black People's Church, the way that black on black fight themselves in the church. I witnessed 2 girls. Even the teachers, even in Manchester as well.
Yeah.
The teachers could not even stop these girls. They were fighting over a boyfriend inside the church. And they beat themselves to the point that they were pulling out their braids. You know what it means to pull out braids from the root? The fight was brutal. Girl on girl.
Black on black.
And that's the same thing with the boys. If you look at London now, what are the people committing most of the atrocities in London? They are immigrants. Black boys. Most of them are. Manchester too, the same, all these areas. So I keep thinking to myself, why do black people hate themselves so much? You understand? Why did they turn? So because I was just afraid. I didn't share that with you. I was just afraid because I didn't know any other place was cheaper than London. I would have up and moved long ago, But when I now decided to say, okay, I now heard about that house that the lady told me. I said, what am I doing here? Absolutely not. I'm not staying here anymore. Yeah. So the question the lady asked was, if we had gotten another side of London that was more expensive, but a bit less crime, would I have preferred that? Or was it because of cheaper housing as well? Cheaper housing as well as... So I said to her, it's both. I'm not going to waste my money. The day I heard that there are cheaper houses elsewhere was the day I'm going to leave London. You understand? What's the point of me going to live in the outskirts of London?
Like, sorry. Yeah.
The children can still get on the train and come.
Well. In UK, you don't start living until you've gotten your document, right? So at the time when we got all our document, we've renewed, we have our indefinite leave to remain. All my friends then, all my colleagues, whenever they get their indefinite leave to remain, they will always move from London. So that was all the plan. So I knew I would leave London right, I knew I would definitely go out because it was just too pricey.
Well,
What people were doing then was, as soon as they got their indefinite leave to remain, you don't mind to get a job that they will pay you less, with less stress. Then you move out to the north, out of London, and that's what people were
so they're
doing.
not to any other
Yeah.
area that
So, and
have
that's what
cheaper
I intended
housing.
to do at that point. That, you know what, let's just calm down, get this document. As soon as we know that, okay, now we have indefinite leave to remain, we don't need to go through all this visa and all this document again. We can then start living. That is when you start
Yeah,
living.
and that's the lesson. The
Yeah.
lesson, guys, because we're doing a lengthy video. So the lesson is, when you are coming, and if you are coming with children, you know you can afford it, it's worth considering other parts of UK first. I think the places the people you know might be where you kind of jeer your
That's when you're going to get support.
yeah, where you think you get support, that's where you want to go and live. But if you are living in a place that is very pricey, it might not be advisable for you to do that, because you just be wasting money.
Yeah.
So it's worth considering other parts of the UK when you arrive, except maybe your school or whatever you came to do is within that region. So you need to think about accommodation, think about the cost of things, think about what you need, your childcare, everything that you need to settle down.
African
shop, foods, So all those kind of things. Make sure you do those little searches before you come here. So I think there's a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things to talk about. And I think you just make the video unreasonably lengthy if you continue to.
We can have
So we will have another session where we'll unpick things one by one and just say more about our experiences.
If there's any other thing you want us to share, you can just comment.
You don't even need to tell. These people are so nosy. They will ask you. You don't need to tell them. So people want to know why we are decided to. They will ask you that one. Let me help them to ask you why. Not now and not in this video. You keep that one.
Yeah.
They will ask us why we are deciding to run to Nigeria. Especially people in your Jackpot group. Who are, they want to know. So thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Make sure to follow us. Check on the next video where we are going to be bringing Mr. Akomolafe back. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.